Hey everybody, it's Reptilian Co again, and welcome to the first in-depth class video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the fighter. My previous video was just kind of a broad overview. I just kind of gave the bullet points, didn't really go into detail much on exactly what each of the skills did. So this video is going to be focused on breaking down the trees and taking a look exactly what these guys are capable of. Let's look at the dwarf for a bit here, just because I like the dwarfs. We're going to skip everything else. If you want to see, you know, some character customization or the equipment stuff, maybe the stats, go ahead and take a look at my previous video. I'll put a link in the description below. But for now, we're just going to skip straight to the abilities. So we're going to go through each tree individually, and it'll be, you know, like I said, more detailed than the last overview that I did, and we're just going to do one of these for each class. So let's jump right in. So we've got the Battlemaster. Battlemasters take an almost academic approach to combat, employing a high level of veteran tricks and battlefield tactics to both rally their allies and manipulate the battlefield against their enemies. Battlemasters know exactly how best to intimidate their opponents and when to pull on all of their reserve strength for a finishing blow. So starting out, we've got Second Wind. Draw upon a well of stamina and heal and gain +8 maximum hit points, and increase the hit point pool will last for 12 seconds. So basically what you want to do is either A, start off the fight with this, if you expect you're going to be a minute before the healer can help you out, or it'll be a good basically oh shit button, as they say, and give you a little bit of a health boost until the cleric can come pick you up. So each of these smaller tiers just increase the effect, so we won't really be going into those. What we're going to be focusing on is the actual skills. So Second Wind will turn into, or at least prerequisite for Action Surge. So you push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment, gaining 25% action speed for 6 seconds. So basically it's like a quarter haste. Which is definitely not a bad thing, and this is good for both tanks and DPS warriors. Getting more actions out faster, attacking faster is never a bad thing. And with Commander Shout, Shout orders to nearby ally, granting combat bonuses. The target gains +1 to hit and damage for the next 60 seconds. So a minute buff on attack and damage, yes please. And you can cast this on yourself as well as your allies. Then we're going to move on to Rally. So it's a point-blank area effect, which basically means it's centered around you. You shout words of encouragement to nearby allies, gaining +5 to the maximum hit points. The increase lasts for 60 seconds. So basically, AoE maximum hit points booster. And then Reign of Terror. You let loose a shout of anger so violent that it overwhelms nearby foes. Affected enemies must make a DC 9 Wisdom saving throw or become confused for 30 seconds and suffer a -3 to their AC. At the end of each round, affected targets may attempt to make a DC Wisdom saving throw. If they succeed, the effect ends early. So basically, just a confusion shout, which is actually pretty cool. Moving on to the champion tree, we've got let's see if it'll, there we go. Champions focus on development of raw physical power honed to deadly perfection. Champions train day and night with almost all known weapons, learning how to use each one most effectively in order to deal with devastating critical strikes to their opponents. So starting out, we've got Steel Serpent. You stab viciously at your foe's knee or foot, dealing slashing damage and causing them to suffer a penalty to their movement speed for 12 seconds. So basically a nice little slow, keep them either in your sights or stop them from running past you and hitting to your allies. Definitely not a bad thing to pick up. This actually increases the penalty, which is very cool, and the duration. Forceful Blows. You become a master at throwing your opponents off balance. All attacks now have a 2% chance to knock down your target. So this is pretty fantastic, especially if you're going to be running, well, I mean, really anything to be honest with you, but a dual-wielding fighter with tons of action speed and haste. This is going to be fantastic. Gets up to an 8%. And then we got Sure Strike, so basically just a heavy hit. Precise strike that always lands, so it doesn't miss, dealing slashing damage. Improved Critical, again, great for dual wielders, and two-handers alike. You've practiced the fine art of precise striking, maximizing your chance to land a critical strike. This ability increases your critical range by 1. And then Superior does it again by 1. Weapon Master. Through years of focus on various weapon styles, you master the ability to hit multiple times with your main hand. Each rank adds an extra strike with your main hand attack. So that's kind of awesome as well. More attacks, again, never a bad thing. Throw that on with haste and you can be a wrecking machine. 2-weapon fighting, so whirlwind attack. Oh wait, sorry, I keep forgetting. 2-weapon fighting, or dual wielding, employs the use of weapons in each hand. The style combat allows one to rain blows upon their opponents, riposting and whirling across the battlefield in a dizzying black ballet of death. Whirlwind attack. You swing your weapon at every foe within 4 yards. You make a melee attack on each affected enemy, dealing slashing damage. The attack is so furious that even if you miss, you still hit for partial damage. Well, that's cool. Riposte. Your senses heightened during the heat of battle. While focused, you have a 50% chance of parrying an attack that would otherwise hit you. When you parry, you also perform a counterattack, dealing slashing damage. This effect lasts for 12 seconds. So basically, it's a good defensive move for when you don't have a shield. Crimson Edge. You strike an opponent painfully. Your strike opens a painful bleeding wound. The initial strike deals 2 to 11 slashing damage and leaves a lingering pain that causes slashing damage over 12 seconds. So it's a nice little bleed. It gets pretty powerful. And then Cage of Chains. You hurl a weighted chain net over your enemy. The target may make a DC Dexterity saving throw or take bludgeoning damage and be trapped in place. So that's pretty awesome. It's a short-range route is basically what it is. Great weapon fighting, which is, a personal favorite of mine. Two-handed weapons are always fun. Great weapon fighting employs the use of extremely large and powerful weapons, most of which must be wielded with 2 hands. While the attacks of great weapon can be slower, nothing can match for their sheer power, range, and striking force. Starting off, we have Charge. Dash forward and strike a foe before they can react, dealing slashing damage. Requires a 2-handed weapon, and it gets decently strong. Unyielding Avalanche. You assume the Unyielding Avalanche stance, holding your ground and attacking any enemy that dares approach you. For the next 12 seconds, each enemy near you periodically takes slashing damage. You will regain hit points over the duration as well as 2 armor class and 3 wall saves. So that's pretty fucking cool, pardon my French. But being able to heal yourself and basically just AoE damage while you're tearing people apart, not a bad thing to have. Cleave. Landing a killing blow grants you a follow-up attack to anything with a 180 cone and 3.5 yards for slashing damage. So basically free attacks if you kill something. So who doesn't want that? And then power attack, the old fighter standard, which is interesting that you can't take it at level 1, but that's okay. Perform a massive, strong attack that focuses on hitting harder than accuracy. The target must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes slashing damage. The swing is so powerful that even if the opponent's save is successful, they still take partial damage. So, that's interesting. Shockwave. You stun the ground with a mighty blow, sending out a shockwave of force. Enemies caught in the blast must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, each target takes force damage and is knocked back and must make a secondary strength save or be knocked prone. On a successful save, the target only takes half damage. So, giving the fighters a little bit of a ranged AoE status effect, that's not a bad thing to have. Let's move on to protection, so your tank stance. Regardless of their class, heroes that are of true heart seek above all else to protect and defend their allies and those who cannot fend for themselves. Protection abilities focus on the ability to close quickly with enemies and to defend against the strongest of attacks. Starting out, you can get Shield Bash. Slam a target with your shield, dealing bludgeoning damage and stunning them briefly. And then Shield Rush. Charge forward and slam the target with your shield, dealing bludgeoning damage and knocking your target down for 3 seconds. So, kind of like the 2-weapon charge, only status effect on top of it. Shield Wall. Quickly raise your shield and automatically block all incoming projectiles for 8 seconds. Definitely a powerful ability to have if you're a frontline and you're getting picked off by the archers on the side. Bulwark. You dig deep into your training on defensive stances, becoming a wall of defense. For the duration, you gain +2 AC, 25% of all damage resistance, +2 to saving throws, +5 maximum hit points for 15 seconds. And then Extended Defense. You spent your life dedicated to protecting your allies. As a passive ability, all nearby allies gain +1 armor class while they are within 2 yards of you. That's alright. It gets up to +2 and 6 yards, so just increases the range. Huh, okay. Martial. Victorious Strike. Strike a foe with Victorious Fervor, dealing slashing damage. Performing this attack causes it to recover hit points, which is very cool, to be honest with you. We've got Impede. You strike a foe with an attempt to cripple them, dealing slashing damage and slowing their movement speed. Break the Wall. You shatter an opponent's defense with a solid strike, dealing slashing damage, causing them to suffer a negative penalty to their AC. So basically a stunder, which is, you know, never a bad thing. We've got Wounding Blow, a brutal attack that deals slashing damage. For 60 seconds afterwards, the target suffers a penalty to healing from all sources. So basically, they can't heal. So if you're fighting an enemy cleric, or, you know, the cleric just keeps healing this one guy, but so you can just wound him, and you got basically a minute where he's dead in the water. And then, of course, Flying Foe. You hurl a spear attached to a chain at an enemy. On hit, the target takes piercing damage and is pulled towards you. And if you upgrade it, it never misses. Archery. Like I said, this is an odd choice for fighters, but if on the harder difficulties you need some ranged ability, as on all of your characters, it definitely would not be a bad idea to put some points into here. Hunter's Mark. Oh, wait. Did I read martial? I didn't. Whether a grizzled veteran or a squirrel in training, most professions have some degree of martial training. Those who excel in the use of arms, armor, and melee combat are fearsome forces to behold on the battlefield. Martial abilities focus on manipulating the battlefield and weakening one's enemies. Masters of the bow and arrow, or crossbow and bolt, the well-trained archer can often pick off their enemies long before they have a chance to reach them. The entire battlefield is an archer's target range, and they can call out targets to their allies, shoot down enemies one at a time, or even rain down arrows on multiple targets. You choose a creature you see within your range and mystically mark it as your quarry. For the next 30 seconds, the target grants combat advantage, cannot stealth or become invisible, and takes 25% additional damage. Arrow of Slaying. This piece of ammunition has your target's name on it, and the target will be sure to get the message. Arrow of Slaying deals slashing damage to the target on hit, so basically just a powerful shot. Quite powerful, actually. Debilitating Shot. The shot finds a painful home in your target, dealing slashing damage. This crippling shot causes them to suffer a penalty to movement speed and -1 to hit and damage. Split Shot. Masterfully fire several arrows of ammunition at the same time, hitting an area 45 degrees wide within 18 yards. On hit, each target takes slashing damage. So just a nice little AoE. We can skip those. And we're back to Battlemaster. So that was a more in-depth but still pretty quick look at the fighter skill trees. The next video we'll be putting out is, I believe, the Rogue tree. There's a link in the description to the previous video if you want a general overview without digging too deep into each class. But thank you once again for joining me, and I will see you guys next time.